Good afternoon, Professor.
Good
Dowling.
afternoon.
Thank you for your time, and thank you for your willingness to share with us your knowledge and expertise in mediation.
Yeah, happy to help.
Let's begin.
Yes.
First, could you please introduce yourself?
Yes, so my name is David Dowling. I am an adjunct professor here at the Strauss Institute, and I'm a full-time mediator.
What family disputes are suitable for mediation?
I think that most familial disputes are suitable for mediation. One of the things that I always stress is that where there's an issue of domestic violence or concerns about a power imbalance leading or coming out of violence, those are cases that I would not mediate. However, I think that generally speaking, when you think about families, there's an ongoing relationship. So the opportunity to bring people together to work through conflict that they might have is so important.
Can you walk us through your typical family mediation process from start to finish?
Sure, yeah. So when I do a family and divorce mediation, so it depends on the kind of case. So I do mediations, familial disputes where I might have siblings in a dispute. And so what I'll typically do is collect information from them, get to know what's going on, each of them through their perspective. Depending on how entrenched or how much conflict there is involved, I might start with them in caucus so that I allow them an opportunity, because in familial disputes, there's history, there's anger, there's upset. You stole my doll when I was 3, or you hit me when I was 5, and I've never gotten over those feelings. So I allow them the space to be angry, to express that anger, to express that frustration, and I work through that with them. The goal then is to take almost like a transformative mediation approach, which is in those kinds of disputes, bring them back together so that they can continue working together and develop a healthy relationship. I do divorces, and really the focus there is dividing up the assets, but thinking about the children. And my philosophy when I do a divorce is that the husband and wife are divorcing, but they're still a family, still parents to those children. So I try to reinforce this concept that they need to work together in the mediation process so that they can develop the skills to communicate and work with each other, with their children as they grow.
What are the benefits of family mediation compared to going to court?
Oh, so different. So in court, a court is very limited in what it can do. So the courts can provide rulings. What you'll find is that overwhelmingly judges, especially around child custody or parenting, courts don't want to intervene. They don't want to get involved, because what they want to do is they want the parents to make decisions for the children. So courts recommend, order, suggest that parties go to mediation. In the court, a court is going to make a decision. So a judge who does not know your family, does not know your children, has no experience with them, is going to render a decision about where your child will live, who they'll live with, how much they're going to spend with each parent, where they're going to go to school, all of those decisions. But if you think about being a parent, I have 4 children. I want to know, I want to have a voice in where my kids are going to live, and where they're going to go to school, and who they're going to live with. That's my right as a parent, and mediation provides them with that. It provides them with self-determination, the opportunity to make decisions for their children or around their assets or around their property. So even with things like assets and property, a court will come in and divide according to what the court sees as right and wrong. But sitting down and working through it together, you can come up with more creative solutions.
How do you handle situations where emotions run high between parties?
Yeah, it's especially in family disputes and in divorces. I think the thing is you have to give people space to be angry and upset. You can't take that away from them. So you can't shut them down, you can't lock them out. What you have to do is let people work through the feelings that they have. So as I said, what I'll often do is start with them separated so that I can develop a relationship of trust with them, so that I can connect with them and they feel comfortable with me. And they feel that what I'm doing is something that they want to be a part of. When it springs up in the moment, there are a couple of different things. So you can use your tone of voice, your body language to encourage them to, think about how they're communicating. Because when we get angry, people can't hear us because they only hear the noise. And so if we want to be heard, we need to change our tone and our approach. So I'll use my tone of voice, I'll use the pace of my voice, I'll try to demonstrate that I'm listening to them, that I want to help them work through whatever feelings they're experiencing. And that's the other thing, is acknowledging the feelings. I can tell that you're angry. I can see this is upsetting for you. I can tell that this is emotional. Recognizing the angry feelings, recognizing the hurt feelings helps people to feel heard and understood, and that helps them to work and move forward.
Is it possible to help families to rebuild relationship or find common ground through mediation process?
Oh yeah, definitely. I mean, that's the beauty of it, right? Is bringing people together to help them see the things, the layers where there are commonalities and where there is shared ground and desire for similar things. So even when people feel so anchored in their anger and their frustration, if there's children there, what do they really want? The best thing for their kids. And so you start to see that and start to say, well, you both want the same thing, which is the best thing for your kids, right? And so you start to point out these small agreements, small areas where they find shared interests. So as you point those out, it's easier for them to recognize and want to build on other things that they share.
What advice would you give to parties considering using mediation?
I think the thing is like, there's so many important things. Is first of all, use mediation, because mediation can really benefit you. It'll save you time, it'll save you money, it'll save you a lot of anger and stress. Picking the right mediator, so finding somebody. When people call me and say, hey, I'd like to use you as a mediator, I always say, make sure I'm the right mediator for you. If you feel that you trust me, if you feel that I'm competent, if you feel that I have the skill set and the understanding, then I might be the right mediator for you. But I'm not always the right mediator for everyone. And so it's finding somebody that you feel that both parties. So sometimes one person will call me and I'll say, do you think I might be the right mediator for both of you? And as they think about it, they say, oh, the other person might not, want to work with you. And so I say, well, let me talk to them first, and they'll make that decision for themselves. But check that everybody wants to work with the mediator. So it's not just about you selecting the mediator. Whoever you're working with or meeting with in mediation, they have to vet the mediator and make sure they're comfortable with that person too.
Can you describe one of your most memorable mediation cases without disclosing names?
So many. Let's see. So you're talking about family disputes. I did a case several years ago, and it involved two brothers, and it was a fight over property. So the mother had died, and she had left, let's say, 4 properties. 3 of them were buildings that were being rented. They had apartments in them, and the other was a piece of land, like just a vacant piece of land in the middle of a city, and didn't even have anything built on it. And one of the brothers had lived with the mom and had said, like when she died, her will said that brother got all the 3 pieces of property with tenants and everything else, and the other brother got this vacant piece of land. And the one with the properties had done an evaluation and assessment and assessed that those 3 pieces of property equaled in value this random piece of triangle property that nobody was interested in. And there was so much anger. They were in their 60s and 70s, like they were older gentlemen. And one of them, the older one, had approached me and said, look, I have cancer, I'm quite sick, and can you find a space for me to sit down? We were at the courthouse, and I was like, sure. And I found a space for him and his wife to sit. And I went out to meet the other guy, and I was like, walked up, and I was like, hi. Like, where's my brother? And I said, oh, I put him in a room. Did he tell you he's sick? I'm sick too. I should. And immediately he wanted balance and fairness. And the fact that the one brother had a room, he needed a room. And it's fascinating because people go back to those core basic feelings of being 4-year-olds and 5-year-olds, and why is mom giving you a bigger piece of cake than she's giving me? Or why are you getting more of this than I'm getting more of this? And those feelings never go away. And so I had to navigate these older gentlemen that were still anchored in very childlike experiences.
How can we encourage people to use mediation?
I think the thing is that we have to normalize it, because I think that a lot of times people think of mediation as, first of all, because we talk about ADR, alternative dispute resolution, and I've heard more and more ADR, appropriate dispute resolution. So A being alternative, and I do a whole training session around removing the A, the alternative from dispute resolution, because it's alternatives to what? To litigation, to going to court. So what we've done is we've created a culture where if I'm angry with you, I need to go to court, and a judge is going to decide. Mediation, negotiation, arbitration, those are alternatives. We don't often think of as alternatives as being the best thing. We think of them as being second to, not the thing that we want. So we don't have what you want in stock, but here's an alternative. Well, that's not what I want. I want what I want. So we have to normalize mediation. We have to make it part of the fabric of our culture. What's interesting is that, I come from Ireland, you come from a different culture. In our other cultures, in our villages, I come from a culture with village life and clan life. We resolve disputes amongst ourselves. And it's a very first world, Western world idea of going and suing and litigating. But we're moving as smaller cultures towards that idea because we're taking on this model instead of the model moving towards the village idea of going to a village leader and resolving the disputes and so we need to incorporate that side of how we work rather than this idea of litigating.
Thank you. And in your opinion, how can the mediation process be improved?
So I think I think mediation in and of itself is as unique because it's driven by the mediator, right? So each of us as mediators, we have to think about what we represent, what our values are, how important the role and responsibility is for us. Some people get so caught up in their numbers, in resolving and settling. And I think it's an unfortunate thing because it's going to marketing and money and all of that. If you're doing a good job, if you're there to assist people to move through the process, to see paths towards resolution, that makes a difference in their experience. So I think as mediators, we have to shift away from this. There's I've seen it here in California, like a protectionist thing by certain people that only people who meet these qualifications can become mediators. I think there should be qualifications. I think there should be requirements, but I don't think it should be limited to a certain segment of the population.
Thank you. Thank you for your time.
Yeah.
Appreciate that.
Yeah, thank you.